Good day everyone. For this video, we will learn how osmosis, diffusion, concentration, solution, and filtration works by doing a short experiment. The materials we need are raisins, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 2 glasses of water. First, put the sugar in the second glass of water. Mix it until it dissolves. Second, put some raisins in the other glass of water and wait for at least 45 hours. After 45 hours, remove the raisins from the glass of water. As we can see, the raisins doubled its size and became swollen. Now, let's try to put the swollen raisins into the sugar solution and wait for a few minutes. As we can see, the raisins that is kept in a sugar solution shrink again just like its original form. This is how osmosis works. Osmosis is a movement of a higher solvent concentration or a water molecules to a lower solvent concentration through a semi-permeable membrane, equalizing the concentration for each sides of the membrane. The raisins resembles cells in our body, and the outer part of the raisins acts as a semi-permeable membrane that allows the water molecules to pass through, equalizing the concentration outside and inside the cell. We can see the colored liquid spreads faster in a hot temperature water than in a cold temperature water. It is because the energy from the hot water makes water molecules move faster. This is how diffusion works. Diffusion is a process where molecules from a material moves from an area of high concentration to an area of a low concentration. The diffusion of chemicals and gases in and out of cells is an essential activity in human organs. Diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide gases occurs in the lungs. Cells require oxygen gas to make energy, and the byproduct of making energy is another gas, carbon dioxide. Oxygen is needed to sustain cells in organs, but carbon dioxide is toxic. These gases enters and exit the body through the lungs by diffusion. The lungs is a network of branching and narrow tubes that starts at the trachea or windpipe. At the tip of the narrowest tube are grape-like clusters called alveoli. These alveolar sacs are surrounded by a net of small blood vessels. Oxygen gas diffuses from the alveolar sacs into the blood vessels, while carbon dioxide goes from the blood into the alveoli. The materials we need are salt, spoon, and a glass of water. Put the salt in a glass of water. Stir it for a few minutes. After a few minutes, we can see that the salt is fully dissolved in the water, and this is how solution is produced. Solution is a mixture of a solute and a solvent. Solute is a part that is dissolved, while solvent is a part where the solute is dissolved. The term solution is commonly applied to the liquid state of matter, but solutions of gases and solids are possible. Air, for example, is a solution consisting chiefly of oxygen and nitrogen with trace amounts of several other gases. Life processes depends in large part on solutions. Oxygen from the lungs goes into solution in the blood plasma, unites chemically with the hemoglobin in the red blood cells, and is released to the body tissues. The materials we need are dropper, food coloring, and 5 clear glasses of water. Put 5 drops of food coloring into the first glass of water. 4 drops of food coloring into the second glass of water. 3 drops of food coloring into the third glass of water. 2 drops of food coloring into the fourth glass of water. And 1 drop of food coloring into the fifth and last glass of water. Stir each glass. As we can see, the first glass of water with a 5 drops of food coloring has a darkest color between all of them. And the last glass of water with just a drop of food coloring has a minimal color. This shows that the higher the concentration of food coloring, the darker the color of the water, and the lower the concentration of a food coloring, the lighter the color of the water. The concentration of a solution is a measure of the amount of solute that has been dissolved in a given amount of solvent or solution. A concentrated solution is one that has a relatively large amount of dissolved solute, while a dilute solution is one that has a relatively small amount of dissolved solute. Our blood has its own concentration. Blood concentration refers to the total amount of fluid circulating within the arteries, capillaries, veins, venules, and chambers of the heart at any time. The components that adds volume to the blood includes red blood cells or erythrocytes, white blood cells or leukocytes, platelets, and plasma. Plasma accounts for about 60% of total blood volume, while erythrocytes make up roughly 40% along with leukocytes and platelets. The maintenance of the blood concentration is crucial to normal function as it is necessary for the constant perfusion of body tissues. Blood concentration can be increased or decreased by systemic dysfunction. The materials we need are sand, gravel, charcoal, cotton, and an empty bottle. Put all together the sand, gravel, charcoal, and cotton to the empty bottle. Pour the wastewater into our do-it-yourself filtration. Wait for a few hours to see the result. Pour the filtrate into a clear cup. We can see that the wastewater we poured a while ago became cleaner and clearer. This is because of filtration. Filtration is a process used to separate solids from liquids or gases using a filter medium that allows the fluid to pass through but not the solid. The term filtration applies whether the filter is mechanical, biological, or physical. The fluid that passes through the filter is called the filtrate. The filter medium may be a surface filter, which is a solid that traps solid particles, or a depth filter, which is a bed of material that traps the solid. While filtration is an important separation technique in a laboratory, it is also common in everyday life. The kidneys are an example of a biological filter. Each of our kidneys is made up of about 1 million filtering units called nephrons. Each nephron includes a filter called the glomerulus and a tubule. The nephrons work through a two-step process. The glomerulus filters your blood, and the tubule returns needed substances to our blood and removes waste. In the nephrons, approximately 20% of the blood gets filtered under pressure through the walls of the glomerular capillaries and Bowman's capsule. The filtrate is composed of water, ions, glucose, and small proteins. The rate of filtration is approximately 125 ml per minute or 45 gallons each day. Considering that we have 7 to 8 liters of blood in our body, this means that our entire blood volume gets filtered approximately 20 to 25 times a day. Also, the amount of any substance that gets filtered is the product of the concentration of that substance in the blood and the rate of filtration. So, the higher the concentration, the greater the amount filtered, or the greater the filtration rate, the more substance gets filtered.